What is up, you guys? It is me, RC2001 Studios here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Neca GMK Godzilla figure for you guys. And yeah, so before I get on to, articulation, paint job, sculpt and detail, all that good stuff, I just want to say real quick, I don't have the box to show you guys, and the reason for that is because I threw it away. And I mean, here's the thing, I just want to kind of just say this real quick. I don't really care about the Neca Godzilla boxes because, to me, in my opinion, they're not as cool like as the SH Monster Arts boxes. Like, they're really crappy in my opinion. Like, the way they're displayed, it's just a clamshell packaging with the Bandai Creation, picture of the Bandai Creation 1954 Godzilla, and then a picture of the figure on the back. And honestly, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's not that interesting. It's not like, a box that I would keep in my collection, like, displayed on my shelf. If it were an SH Monster Arts figure, of course I'd keep the box, because those boxes, they always put a lot of effort. They, show little pictures of the figure, all that good stuff. The NECA ones, they just, I don't know, they're not as cool to me. Like, they're not as, I should say, like, I don't know, just interesting. Like, the way they look, they're just not as good to me. So yeah, so I can't show you guys a picture of the box, but I have the figure, which is, the most important thing in my opinion. But yeah, so real quick, we're going to be talking about articulation. Alright, so now I'm going to be showing you guys this figure's articulation. So the articulation for this figure is pretty good. There's not a lot of it, but honestly, it's still, pretty good. Like, you could get him in some poses. I mean, probably not a lot of posability out of him. You probably can't, pose them in a bunch of different poses if you want, like compared to an SH Monster Arts, but still a pretty cool figure. So for the head, you have a kind of ball joint, I guess. It can move up and can move down as well. Moves down pretty good. He moves more down than up. The head does move up. You have a little bit of side-to-side motion with a bit of 360. The jaw is on a hinge, of course, so you could open it and close. The neck can rotate side to side. It is a bit stiff, but I'm not going to force it. The arms can move in and out like that. Like I said, they're pretty stiff. They can move 360. You have a bend at the elbow, which can rotate, in and out. You have a swivel at the bicep, which actually works pretty nice. It's nice and fluid, I guess. It's not that stiff, which is good. You have rotation at the hands. Those can clamp as well. And same on this side. You have a waist swivel, which does rotate. I think 360, but I'm not going to force it. What else? The legs, they can rotate, outward and in a bit. You have hinges at the legs. Yeah, you have hinges that can move, swivel. And you got rotation at the feet, which can move side to side. And you have rotation at the upper part of the tail. So the first segment, second segment, and the third segment, and the bender wire. So yeah, I mean, articulation on this figure is pretty good. There's not a lot of it, but I think the reason why they did that is because they didn't want to mess up the sculpt. They wanted to probably, put more effort into their sculpt, which there is, a lot of effort, compared to, like, the 94 figure. Their 94 figure has a lot more articulation, but when it comes to sculpt wise, it's not as good as, the GMK Godzilla. And yeah, and also for some reason this figure is a bit hunched over. Like, you can't really get him standing upright, so that might be a problem to some. It is a bit it does kind of suck that he can't really look up, but it is what it is. So now I'm going to be showing you guys this figure's paint job. Alright, so now I'm going to be showing you guys this figure's paint job. So the paint job on this figure is where I think NECA did a horrible job at. So as you could see, the body is gray throughout the figure, but the head is green for some reason. And honestly, it might not be a big problem to some, but to me, it's very distracting. it definitely kind of ruins the figure in a way. I mean, it's just overwhelming that Neca would even do this in the first place. Let me just close the mouth. But as you can see, the head is green for some reason, and it's not little hints of green. Like, they overdid it on the green. Like, it stands out from the figure. From a far away distance, you can't see the green, but up close you could definitely see it, and it does kind of ruin the figure a bit. It's this kind of army green color. Like I said, I don't know why they would do that, but yeah, it definitely, you know, if you see this figure from far away, like, I don't know, like that, you can't see it. But once you bring the figure a bit close up, it just definitely ruins the figure, in my opinion. And yeah, there's a lot of odd paint choices with this figure. For example, the fingernails on this figure and toenails are this pinkish color, which honestly I don't know why they did that. They should have just made him a green, white color. I said green, I don't know why, but they should have just made him a white color. I think it would have just been better, because the way they painted the pink on here too looks kind of crappy. It doesn't look that professional looking. And yeah, I mean, look at that, you even got some like paint rub right there on mine. They also did this with the toenails, and like I said, I don't know why they did this. They also have some green on the feet, which I don't know why they put that. But I mean, the head is probably the part of the figure where the paint definitely kind of ruins it. You know, of course you got the too much green going onto the head, but they also had to top it off with paint bleed going on in the lower jaw. And you know, like I said, the head might not be a big problem like to a lot of people, but to a lot of people who really kind of care about, you know, the way their figures look, it might be. And I mean, it's just so distracting. There's all this little paint bleed on the jaw, you know, from the gums, and like I said, it just doesn't look that professional looking, especially from Neca. I mean, I know Neca's not SH Monstars, but their other figures and stuff usually have good paint jobs. And this isn't only a problem on mine. A lot of people have this problem, you know, with the jaw, with the paint bleed on the jaw. Pretty much this problem is on everyone's, so it's not just mine. And yeah, so the paint job on this figure is alright. I think they should have just made the head gray, kind of like the body, and I think they should have did a better job painting the gums, because I mean, the inside of the mouth is actually painted really nicely. That's one thing that they did pretty good, but for some reason Neca kind of painted on the jaw, which I don't know why, but yeah, so the paint job on this figure is alright. Now we're going to get on to sculpt and detail. Alright, so now we're going to be talking about sculpt and detail. So, you know, where the paint job kind of lacks on this figure, however, the sculpt on detail is the one thing that actually saves this figure, surprisingly. The sculpt on this figure is amazing. It's definitely movie accurate. This is honestly Neca's probably best sculpt that they did for their Godzilla figures. I mean, second in my opinion would probably be like the 54, but I mean, the head sculpt is amazing. It definitely looks like GMK Godzilla. It captures the likeness, the look of it, everything about it. It's just great. And like I said, you know, where the paint job lacks, the sculpt makes up for it. The sculpting on the body is pretty good as well. You know, the dorsal fins are also really nice. They're not too big and they're not too small, which is really good, you know, for this particular suit, because they weren't that small as well in the movie. They were kind of medium sized. But yeah, the sculpt on this figure is really good, especially the head sculpt, and you know, as well as the entire body. You know, for example, the actual teeth are actually nicely sculpted, really like that. You know, you got the tongue and stuff, which is really good. And like I said, the teeth are nicely sculpted. You even got some like snaggle tooth right there. But yeah, really good sculpting from Neca. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for the sculpt. Really good on this figure. And also, I kind of like how Neca didn't really have to worry about putting too much articulation for this figure. I mean, it would have been cool, but honestly, I think it kind of would have ruined the sculpt, because they did a lot more better sculpting on the arms and stuff. For example, if they kind of put a lot of articulation on this figure, this figure kind of would have looked like the 94 figure, where the arms, it just looks kind of weird, you know, with all these little gaps and stuff. This figure, you don't really have that problem, which is, you know, really good, which is one thing I really like about this figure. And yeah, so the sculpt on this figure is really good, you know, very movie accurate. And yeah, the detail on this figure is also very, very good. I'm just gonna kind of zoom in a bit. Okay, there we go. So like I said, the detail on the side of the head is really nice. You got all this kind of rough texture going on the side of the head. The top of the head is very nice. You got this bumpy texture, which looks great. You got this little snarl on his face. Like I said, really nice detail on the head. The neck has a lot of nice, you know, kind of wrinkles and things like that. Skin flaps, looks very nice. Under the jaw, you have nice detailing. In the mouth, really nice detailing, especially with the tongue and stuff. Really good. Roof of the mouth, you even got some nice detailing. What else? The arms have really good detailing. All the skin stuff, all the scales. For example, the scales on the what's it called, chest look really nice, kind of like a, you know, a snake in a way. But yeah, like I said, the detail on this figure is really nice, as well as the sculpt. But yeah, really good detail, as well as on the tail. Even the dorsal fins have some nice texturing to them, which looks good. But yeah, sculpt on detail on this figure is really good. So now I'm gonna give my final thoughts. So overall, you guys, I highly recommend this figure. Although I kind of, you know, disagree by the way, you know, Neca painted this figure, especially, you know, with the fingernails and the head, which is very distracting and just overall kind of ruins the figure a bit. This figure does make up for it with amazing sculpting, good detail, pretty good articulation. Although the articulation isn't, you know, as good as, like, you know, the 94 or their 84 figure. I actually like that there's less articulation on this figure because it kind of hides the gaps and things like that. But yeah, guys, I mean, overall, this is a really good figure, a really good GMK representation. And you know, if you don't have enough money for the SH Monstards, this is still a good option. You know, it's a really good option. Even though it's cheaper, it's still pretty good. Just, you know, just as good as the SH Monstards. Of course, the paint job isn't that good compared to it, but it's still a pretty good figure, and it's still a good, you know, option to go. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.